I never knew. Someone just told me about, let me put this on. Someone just explained to me about, because I get blocked off Facebook Live often. They
Yeah.
just explained to me that I could do this. I never knew that.
Which part? The go on
YouTube,
YouTube?
recording YouTube. Yeah, I've been on the Zoom Live and recording YouTube. I never knew that.
Yeah, they don't really announce the features when they roll them out. They just kind of you just got to find them.
That's awesome. All right.
So we're gonna kick this off, and after I do the intro, I'm gonna tell you how I found you.
Okay.
All right, so this is the Millionaire Podcast. My name is Charles Ogilvy. Welcome you guys all to the show that we've been doing for about 5 years now. You guys on the purpose of this podcast is to share the stories of successful African-American business owners and investors. We want people to hear the stories of successful examples because they do exist, and we believe that business and investing are the true keys to financial success and generational wealth. Before we get started, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star rating if you think it's a five-star podcast. I believe it's a 5-star podcast, and a lot of people believe it too. But whatever you believe is what you believe. But support us either way. Leave us a rating and a review so we can learn and we can improve what we're doing. Today we have a special guest. Her name is Deadria Garrett. She is the owner of the Wealth Transfer Enterprise, where she helps the community expand their legacy by transferring their wealth, which is very important.
Yes.
She's been in business for 4 years now, focusing on financial literacy, credit, and entrepreneurship. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Charles, for having me. Just being able to find me in the marketplace, because people need to know, as you stated, that there's a lot of, Black businesses, that's really helping people understand how they can sustain, scale, maintain their business, and literally transfer their wealth, because all of our end goal is to create a legacy. So just to give you guys a little background about myself, 4 years ago, almost 5 years, I didn't know anything about personal credit, business credit, funding, finances, none of that. But I mean, I was a college student, Alverno College. It was in Wisconsin, located in Wisconsin, all women college. It was an amazing college, but I was, going to college for about 6 years, and guess what? I didn't graduate, but that is okay, because I know a lot of people can relate. But one thing we do take with us is a lot of student loan debt. So while I was in college, I was also a CNA, certified nursing assistant, for about 9 years. So, I mean, I was doing 12 hours, 16 hours, because that's what I was taught at the comfort of my home, to work, and just save. I didn't know about transferring wealth. I didn't know about leveraging OPM. I didn't know about, investing in life insurance and, policies where you can take the money out and invest in assets. I didn't know anything, which is okay, because sometimes what you don't know what you don't know. And what you don't know could be the solution to your life and other people's lives. With that being said, that's why 4 years ago, I became an entrepreneur. We were formerly known as I Care Credit Restoration. And then I realized, wow, Deadria, you have built an empire, a company where you're hiring multiple people for these different departments, not only just focusing on personal credit, but the business credit side, now even funding. So now we are known as Wealth Transfer Enterprise. That's how that rebrand came about almost 9 months ago. But again, not knowing that our community, other communities, the world, operates off debt. If you gain a healthy relationship with debt and you teach these people that, you become a solution-based business, a solution-based entrepreneur. And that's what I pride myself on, being someone in the space that is giving people the accessibility, the knowledge, the awareness, the confidence to really transfer their wealth in the manner in which we bring that value.
Nice. One question before I go on. Can you hear that fan?
I can't hear a fan, no.
Okay. All right. Cool. So I'm going to turn it off then. All right. So the question that we always ask our guests is, what was life like growing up for you?
To sum it up, I had my mom, I had my dad. I also had a very loving grandma, who my mom and my grandma is my angel now. I still have my wonderful dad living, but growing up, I had to figure it out. That's what it was. I had to figure it out for myself, even though I see my mom working, my dad being the homemaker, my grandma working. So I said, okay, Deadria, 14 and a half, 15 years old, you're in school, but you want to work too, because you're seeing the rewards that both your grandma and your mother are reaping. You're seeing the rewards. So I got my first job in the restaurant industry at 14 and a half, 15. I would always take the school bus. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Originally, I'm here now in Georgia. So as a little girl, that's where I grew up, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I would always take the bus.
Man, you're in Georgia? We could have done this in person.
I didn't know. But everywhere on my social media, you see that we're located, the office is located in Georgia. But just to give you guys background, I would take the bus from school back home. Figuring it out. No one taught me how to ride the bus. I just got out there and asked questions, which is why it just aligns with who I am right now, because being inquisitive, doing your research, market research, you have to do that as being an entrepreneur. You have to know what's out there so you can package your prices and, you have your competitors and all that good stuff. So anywho, I would take the bus and I would see that this restaurant was about to open, about to launch. So I'm like, okay, before anybody get in there, let me show my face, show up consistently, and show them that I want the job. So that was my very first job. It was a restaurant called Zaza Steak and Lemonade. Just off of consistency and being persistent with going to this job, I showed up, right? Which is how we want to show up every day when you have a business. So I was always that person that went for what I wanted, even as a little girl. Again, I went to a good school, but the comfort of my home, we just weren't taught certain things, which is okay. So I just figured it out on my own. I was always really liked by a lot of people, even in school, but that wasn't good enough. I wanted to still figure it out on my own, because I realized that I was a little different from the crowd that I would, grow up with and things like that. So my childhood, my dad always gave us the love and the support that we needed. So, it was just really realizing, like, hey, at one day I'm going to be 25, 35, 45. What does that look like for you? So I really feel like my childhood propelled me and prepared me to be the entrepreneur that I am. Obviously, on a different level, with the more knowledge that I have and the emotional intelligence to serve the world, and the skill set as well, because we all need skill set to pay us. So even being a CNA, in my early 20s, and even when I was a teen, I didn't want to be a doctor. I didn't want to be a nurse. So I figured it out at an early stage by just quitting that arena. I mean, in college, my dream career was to be a psychologist doing case management and having my own practice where I help people with mental illness and any type of, mental disorder for that nature, to really solve that problem. So I've always wanted to solve, and I was always curious, but I literally used that skill set. Now me and my team, we're doing case management in the financial realm. We're solving problems in the financial realm. So I still, as a little girl having that dream, I'm still living out the dream. So for those who are listening and you're like, oh my God, well, I love what I do at this 9 to 5, but this is not my dream. What you do is take that skill set and you apply it to what you actually want to do, get the right, mentor or coach, and, the right systems to create that vehicle for your business, so you can be a value, so you can be a legend in your lifetime. Like, that's what a lot of legends, they are entrepreneurs. They leave something behind for the world. So like you, Charles.
I felt like I was just telling somebody that, because he's young, he's out of college, he's working a job, and he wants more. And I was telling him, like, man, you have a bunch of skills, you've accomplished a lot of things, like, that's valuable to the marketplace. Absolutely. You don't have to go out there and copy what everybody else has done. It's the uniqueness that's inside of you can be brought to the market.
It's really
create your wealth.
You literally just have to figure out, again, your skill set. Obviously, mindset is key too, because now that I know what I know, it'll be 5 years in November that I've been in business. I would never tell no one, just quit your job and get an LLC. That's the route I went, but I quickly got a mentor, because again, everybody wants to be a coach on Facebook. So when I, quit the job, I didn't have a plan or anything. So my situation is very unique, yet special, which is why I'm going to keep going regardless of the headaches. But I wouldn't tell anybody just quit their job and get an LLC. You literally want to start reading Mindset Mastery, or start understanding your mindset, how you can form a stronger mindset, a healthy mindset, get the skill set. So if you love what you're doing right now and you're like, I would monetize on this, figure out really what that looks like so you can be an expert in that industry, have authority so you can dominate, and always want to look for more, research and knowledge so you can add more value. That's really what all business owners do until they get to the point where they can hire a team and do the quality assurance, take themselves out and become the business owner. Then shortly after, you'll be an investor. You know that Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. That's one of the books that I had to read, that I enjoy reading, should I say.
That's what I was going to ask you is, how did you develop this mindset? Because you started off as a job person, you went to college, and then you had this shift towards entrepreneurship. What inspired that change? Because
it was always that wanting more, not for someone else company, but knowing that I had I started to see that I had leadership skills. People would tell me like, Deadria, you are a leader. Deadria, you are very bold. Deadria, you are this. I'm like, all right, what can I, if I'm all these things and I feel this way as well, let me hone in on it. So instead of me, exerting these skills and everything that I have, just me as a whole, into these jobs and into college, let me figure out how I can be that to the world. Because sometimes we know what we possess, but working a 9 to 5, to stay alive, as they say, then we go home and we get tired. We can't work on what we know that we offer to the world. So that's what it was for me, Charles. I knew what I offered to the world. I felt it. I started to see it. Then I started to have these visions because I knew what I offered. And I'm like, all right, that's it. Can't spend another 12, 16 hours at this job, not living out the dream. I didn't know what the dream looked like. But so I would say, when you start seeing that you're passionate about something, and you start seeing that I really possess this, I'm really a good thinker, I'm really analytical, I'm really a good creative, I'm whatever you're good at, I would say get more training on that and hone in on that, because if that's a passion for you, it can become a business. Now, they typically say don't create a passion-based business, create a need-based business, but you'll be able to figure that out, like what's a need in your market once you start realizing what you offer. So it has to start with you. Like you just said, Charles, it has to start with who you are, because if you don't have identity, there will be no productivity. Excuse me. If you don't have identity, there will be no activity. So it's not to say, let me pick up all these jobs and this is not who you really are, or let me start this business, this is not really your skill set. You want to find your identity in that thing. I didn't find my identity in finances. I didn't. Like at first, I didn't know that was what I was going to merge into, but I knew that I really, very, really. Another thing from my childhood that helped me become who I am today is the curiosity of not knowing this industry. Nothing else was high on my radar. It was always finances. Nothing. I seen these girls in college getting homes, getting, investment properties, getting cars, getting American Express at 19 and 20. I'm like, you know what? I was angry about it, not like mad at the world, but I was angry. So when you're really passionate and angry about something, you start to hone in on it. And shortly after, you look up and you create an LLC. Now you're marketing it. Now you're pushing it. And now it's a business. You nurtured it. You nurtured who you were. You nurture your skill set. So I would tell anybody to nurture that thing, that idea, that skill. I don't care if you're 15. If you see it, if you have dreams about it, and like you want to develop that courage to push it, please go for it.
100%. One of the things that I see you say is there is a millionaire inside you. Can you talk about that?
Yes. Wow, I love that you asked that. Again, I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm here in Georgia. So the first 4 months that I moved to Georgia, I put together, it's really a story behind this. I put together an event, and we know in business, it's numbers, right? It's numbers. It's a numbers game, should I say. So I put together an event. It was for financial literacy, and I had a guest speaker. And so 30 people signed up, 5 people came. I delivered like I was supposed to, as if it was 30 people in a room. So after that event, shortly after, I am spiritual, so you may hear me say God. Shortly after, God said, all right, you did that. Here's another idea. So in the entrepreneur space, you're going to get these ideas. It's up to you to execute on it. Here's another idea. He said, go back to your hometown, create this event called There's a Millionaire in You, and go serve 8 people, not 10, not 5, 8 entrepreneurs. The idea it's going to be called There's a Millionaire in You. That's what I got in my head. So I wrote it down. So I said, okay, and the idea never left me. So I literally put together a PowerPoint, figured out what I wanted to teach on, because again, there's a plethora of knowledge in the personal and business credit and funding space. I knew exactly how I can reach eight entrepreneurs and add value to them and transform them as well. 8 entrepreneurs in different industries. I put it together. I flew back to my hometown and I had the event, and it was literally called There's a Millionaire in You. Oftentimes we have these $1 million ideas, but we need somebody and resources and the knowledge to feed these ideas. So if we don't have that, then it's just a $1 million idea wasted. Charles, where's the richest place in the world? What do they say? What's that saying? The richest place in the world?
The graveyard.
The graveyard, right? Because all these amazing ideas, no one took action on. So that's where There's a Millionaire in You came from. And ever since then, that's literally like the webinars and the events I put together. So after that, I had a webinar where it was There's a Millionaire in You short-term rental edition, meaning that I talked about business credit, how I got into Airbnb space, and I did creative financing with business credit. But I had a Airbnb super host come on the webinar and teach my audience about, being a Airbnb super host. So one thing I learned in business, you don't have to jump all over the place. Whatever that one thing that it's a great idea, make it a movement. So There's a Millionaire in You is a movement now. So I made t-shirts. I'll be selling that soon, and I'm going to keep pushing. Even though somebody may hit, they're multi-millionaire, but there's still, I want that message for people to know, like, there's something in you. There's a millionaire in you. If you hit 10 figures, or not 10 figures, excuse me. If you hit 10K a month, keep going. There's a millionaire in you. Business is going to slow down and get dry. So that's where that came from.
Yeah. You said turn your idea or your passion or your project into a movement.
Yes.
And on that,
making it a movement, because one thing that I've heard a lot, I wouldn't say I experienced it because I stuck with my lane, but oftentimes people start one business, or they do one thing or one project, even in school or in a job, and they fail at it, or they don't excel as quick as they want to, so they want to give it up. Whereas keep it, whatever it is that you foresee it being, make it a movement. So yes, you have this business, but what is the movement behind it? Even though the movement for what Wealth Transfer Enterprise do is filling in the gap of the financial resources and knowledge to really become a real estate investor, a first-time home buyer. But I wanted a movement, So when you have an idea that you may even create it with inside that business, make it a movement so it can also be a stream of income. Because here's the thing, we also hear multiple streams of income. So I discovered how to create multiple streams of income with one business. So I don't have to start all different, So I don't have to start all these different businesses. I'm creating movements within one business, and I monetize on
it. that is the hack, and that's kind of like the drum that I'm beating right now, because I was one of those people that started a bunch of different things, and I had the Turo, and I had the semi truck, and I got the rental properties, and I got the vending machines, and I was going crazy. And I started to realize and understand the streams that I like. But one of the best projects that I have is the project that has multiple streams that kind of accommodate each other. So I have the course has a community, then I have a more advanced type of project within that course. And I understood, like, that's what you want. And the reason being is because then the marketing carries over. You only got to market once, and then that person goes from one line of your funnel to the rest of your funnel, as opposed to now you're trying to market Turo and market Airbnb and market your vending machines.
That's exactly it right there. Like, it's crazy you say vending machines, because I think I don't give myself, I wouldn't even say give myself enough credit. I just forgot about it. Like, I started off, I also tapped into like the transportation industry, and I had a business partner. I learned a lot about having business partners and contracts and all that. But years ago, even while I was building, again, it was eye care credit restoration first. For like, it was very short-lived. For like 6 months, we were doing transportation for a daycare. Then I got into the vending machine space. So once you on fire and you take that leap, like you're saying, Charles, you will tap into a lot of different things, but hone in on that one business and figure out how you can create multiple streams from that, so you can create time freedom. Then once you have structured and solidified one company, the back end looking good, not just the front end, us hopping up on live or us, saying, oh, I got a business. But once the back end looks good, then you can go over here and create something else. And I'm realizing, like, you're going to need a team. You can have all these dreams, but you need a dream team.
Got to.
And a coach.
Yeah, I think a coach is imperative as well. But one thing I'm realizing is, like, man, I can't do it all on my own. I have to start farming out tasks. And when I do start farming out tasks, I actually grow. And I think a lot of people, they think that if they give somebody their job, they have nothing to do. It's like, no, you got something to do. It's just higher level. And now you're just operating at like a much larger, bigger picture level. And so you still got work to do. And then you can put all your effort and energy that you be putting into chopping up YouTube videos or chopping up whatever into that growth. I want to dig in though. Like, how do you coach somebody from going to one business that has a business that contains several streams? Like, what does that look like?
Say that again. How do I coach them into that?
Right. So yeah, how do you get, because I mean, a lot of people, they kind of lack creativity. They only see one business and they're like, this is what I got. How do you get into that next level?
What I learned is you're going to have whoever your target audience is, it's going to be a tier of them, meaning that sometimes they just want to start at the ebook level. Sometimes they want the done for you level. Sometimes they want you to mentor them level. So what I mean when I say multiple streams, you got to understand, it starts with understanding your audience. Like, when however you get feedback from your audience, and you're seeing that they're more done DIY people, create an ebook. Okay, I can do it myself. And you never had an ebook. At first I didn't have ebooks. So I'm like, all right. And then you don't want to leave money on the table as well. So when you start thinking about how much money you leave on the table, you think about what other things that you can put into your business that will give people options. And understand too that one type of client, a DIY client, might figure out they can't do it themselves. So what happens? They come back to you.
Hey, yep.
So that's what it's levels to it, as they say. It's tiers to it. So I quickly discovered, like, Deadria, you may be doing these consultations when I was doing them, and they may not be ready for the do it all for you package. But don't let them run away. Create an ebook. And here's the thing. You create these things one time and you sell it over and over again.
Yep.
So that's how I would coach somebody. I would say, first of all, listen to your feedback and what your target audience, their needs, even potential, like warm leads, when you're on the phone with them. What are they saying? Why are they not opting in? What's the issue? All right, so that's the issue. Now create something at a lower scale, because you're going to have different tier of clientele. And I just would help people brainstorm on what they can give to, their audience. But you have to know your audience first. So it's a lot of brain work, which I realize a lot of people may not have that 5-year mark or even that 2-year mark, because it's a lot of brain work before you get benefits. Like even today, for example, it's like, I know that I'm launching something new in the Department of Wealth Transfer. So now I can increase the prices that we have for our packages, but it's adding more value, a lot of more value to our business owners and investors that come in for what we offer. But I had to I had to have a meeting with each department, with my team. And I said, will this work for you? Will this work for you? And now I have to hire somebody else, because I don't want to stretch my team thin. I need them to work effectively so we can hit our numbers. So yeah. I mean, I would literally say, look at your target audience first. listen to their feedback. In what area or capacity are you leaving money on the table? That'll make them creative.
Right. That'll motivate them. When you put it that way, it just makes too much sense, because a lot of times we're telling people to create something and they may or may not know if it's going to be something people want to buy. But if you already know that they want to buy it, and maybe you're referring it out to somebody, or maybe you're just not even responding to that DM because you can't service them, it's like create something to fill that gap. And now you can be compensated for that new thing. And your customers can say what they want by their questions. They're going to be like, hey, blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, well, now we got this to accommodate that.
Absolutely. So then, and it also helps you fill in the gaps of objections. Like if you do consulting calls or consultations and they're like, hey, I'm not ready for that package, you don't want to leave them with nothing. So what other packages or tiers of your packages or even products that you can leave them with? Because one, now you're in their face. So if this DIY is too hard or whatever you gave them is too hard, again, they're gonna come back to you.
Right. So what does your product line consist of?
Good question. So again, we started off with doing personal credit, specifically just helping people become, get their personal credit together. But I said, hey, there's a lot of entrepreneurs. There's a lot of, already existing entrepreneurs, some new, some already existing. They want to build that business credit. The end goal is funding. So we have integrated business credit building and funding as well. So that's what we offer currently right now: the personal building, the business building, business credit building, and then the funding, because that's the end goal. Obviously, in addition to that, there's always other things that we push, like webinars, ebooks, even apparel now. And again, I have something special coming out. This is why it's very important to have what they call it, the opportunity network and the execution network. The opportunity network is networking with people in different industries that can help you be more creative in what you're doing. Your execution network is being in the same industry, or like that network of people that's in the same industry as you, and you guys like execute on those things in that industry. So yeah, so now that we are doing those three things, and again, I'm hearing and seeing what my audience want, we're going to repackage some things. But right now we are currently offering the personal credit building and structuring, business credit building and structuring, and funding.
So when you're looking for customers, or let's put it this way, like, what does your ideal customer look like?
That's good. Well, because I know that our target audience, which are first-time homeowners, small business owners, and investors, some of them tends to look like, listen, I was already at the for real estate deals, or even almost, got a pre-approval to buy their first home, or even those business owners that's like, okay, I'm stuck. I just got this LLC. I have product in the beauty industry. I want to get product in the beauty industry. I need it. So my ideal customer would be someone who literally realized, like, I'm done. I can't use my money anymore. I'm done using my money. I need to be able to use OPM, other people's money, and transfer my wealth that way. So it's literally somebody who's tired of using their money, whether they just start their business or whether they missed out on the deal, or whether they want to merge into closing deals before they even get to the table. Let's get these entities together so you are funding and credit worthy.
Right.
Yeah. So again, it's those. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, it wasn't going to be a question that wasn't related, but you're going to say something that was related. So you can go ahead and finish that thought.
Oh, no, I was just saying, so again, it's just those, first-time home buyers. They're super excited about their pre-approval. Real estate investors, a deal didn't go through because they didn't have enough capital, or a business owner who's like, where do I start? I did it. I got the LLC. Now what? I need capital. Yeah.
So I was going to ask you if in your business and as you're sourcing leads, are you networking with other people who maybe their realtor, it fell out with the realtor, or maybe the title company, they're aware of something? Are you doing some of that?
Just networking with those, the opportunity. Yeah. I have. Well, that's where I started off. One, word of mouth is the best marketing. I would say that. You can have all these good templates and the content, value-based content. But one thing I learned early on is word of mouth. So what I quickly did once I got the LLC, I started to learn about credit, and everything was established. When I say got the LLC, it's because you want to be established. I mean, you don't have to, nothing has to be perfect. But so the first year in business, I would network with a lot of bankers, realtors, people in real estate. And I'm like, the main thing with the realtors, their clients couldn't get to the table because of the credit that the clients didn't have. So I would highly suggest networking in that industry, in your industry, where you see a problem or a need for what you do. And that's how I started off. And so from me starting off with networking, again, that word of mouth started to trickle down. And now you're known for something, whether it's in a certain space or certain city. And so when they think of you, whether it's in real estate, whether it's in, at a company, and they're like, I couldn't apply, I couldn't get this car, I couldn't get this furniture, you set the tone, so they think of you. So yeah, I would even go to different car dealerships and let them know what we did, put business cars out there, and just told them how we can fill in their gap of them not hitting their quota because of, people aren't being approved for the cars because of credit.
How did your business fare during the pandemic? What was that like for you?
Oh, that was a good question. And I'm honestly speaking, and I'm grateful to say that's in one quarter, that's when I made the most money. Because honestly, because I think what it was, and even hearing people now, they sat back and said, I'm not at work, but I need capital, or I just want to take my life to the next level. Where do I start? And I would literally people would literally say that in consultations, like, I'm ready to get my life together. And they were like, I want to start because I'm getting laid off. They seen how easy it is to be on, what is it called, Charles? Like prologue, or when they lay you off, or even get fired.
It's not probation or furlough. I think that's
furlough.
Right.
I couldn't say a furlough, not prologue, furlough. Yeah. So people even on furlough, and some people got fired. They were like, okay, if this is what a company can do, I need my own. So even just the thought of that, but they were like, I need capital to build this, so during the pandemic, it was a blessing for me.
Yeah. And
it also told me that people had, whether it was a savings or whether it was just money stash, people were investing. I guess they felt like this was my last resort. Yeah. So that's also good to know, like how your business is a need-based business, even in a pandemic.
Yeah. That's true, because people don't stop needing things just because the world is shut down.
Absolutely.
They might need different things.
Different things. Yeah. But no, it's a good question.
What is a common myth around business credit?
That you don't need to PG. Oh. What does PG mean? PG means personal guarantor. So a lot of people are teaching, which is a lot of amazing people in the financial space, right? Personal and the business credit. But what I hear often is only EIN. Wait, what? I talk to a lot of lenders. I know their stipulations. I know the underwriters requirements. So even for a 5-year business that built business credit, if you aren't making a certain amount of revenue, monthly, weekly, then they need to PG your personal credit. Again, personal guarantor. So if just like when you want to get a car, you may need a co-signer. You will be the co-signer for that business, for your business. Right. That's the main one I hear.
I kind of want to take it back to there's a millionaire inside you. And I'm curious, when you're at those conferences, what are you teaching them?
Oh, that's good. So the very first one, I put together a webinar. Well, I was in person, but I still had slides. So I put together how to structure your personal credit, how to form that LLC or incorporation, so you can start building business credit. And then with both entities, how to get funding. So if you have $1 million idea, whatever your amazing idea, again, you may need the resources. So I'm teaching what the underwriters and the bankers don't teach us, and some things that you can't even Google. like credit card stacking or being able to get multiple credit cards or one inquiry on the business side and things of that nature. So I'm literally helping them understand, like, it's resources out there. You just don't know what it looked like which is okay. You're so engulfed in your idea, you're missing the financial accessibility that your business have the opportunity to get access to.
Yeah. What's interesting is, and I don't know if this is common, but this is a great person to ask this question. But I've found that my business can get things that I can't get. Like, my business can get credit cards that I can't get. Like, American Express won't give me the platinum card, but they gave Tide Capital the platinum card. And I was like, that's very interesting. Like, why is that?
Well, here's the thing about American Express. That's very interesting because they pull from your personal credit. They pull from experience. So that's one thing that I do. I do my research on knowing not only what the lenders look for, but who they pull from, like what credit bureau, if they do PG. So we can make sure that your personal credit is together. So if your company got American Express, was there a backdoor way that I wouldn't even say that, but American Express literally does a soft pull or a hard pull on Experian. Mm-hmm. So maybe on the application, depending on how much you made, and I hope you made a great amount in your company, right? I hope that for everybody. Maybe the amount that you have made annually was good enough and they didn't have to PG you. That could definitely have done it for American Express. American Express, they're one of those premier credit card companies. So you have to really meet these requirements. So that's another thing that I'll let business owners know, or anybody know, like, separate your money, because when it comes to knowing how much you made, or even just knowing the requirements, some of these lenders are, no doc. So they just state the income. So even if you state that you made a certain amount, because they're not looking for any documentations, if your business can withstand that amount that American Express or Capital One or Chase will give you, they'll give it to you. Yeah. But I just know, like, with them, some of them don't budge on PGing you unless you've made a certain amount.
Yeah. Interesting.
Very much so. Unless, Charles, you just don't know that they pull from Experian and your Experian was ready to go. Sometimes we don't know these things. Well, through the application, it'll tell you that. It'll say, hey, are you okay with pulling from, the credit bureaus? And sometimes people think the business credit. They might think the business credit bureaus, Duns and Brad, Experian, and Equifax. Mm-hmm. So somebody may have thought that Experian, like the business credit Experian, and not the personal Experian.
I know you're big on time freedom. Can you talk about that?
How did you know? Well, yes, I talk about time freedom a lot because that is the goal for all of us. We all want to be able to have the time to take vacations, live the life that we want, spend more time with our family, just do the things that we want to do while we're working a 12 and 16-hour shift, right? The things that we think about doing. So time freedom, I say that instead of financial freedom, because when you create time freedom to do the things that you want to do, you can also create financial freedom, even though you would think like financial freedom is the time freedom. It is, but how do you have the time? Oh, see, a lot of people don't have this, they quote unquote, don't make the time, should I say, after a 12 or 16-hour shift, even an 8-hour shift, to create the life that they want. So I push time freedom so people can really get in their head, whether you are still a 9-to-5 person. I need you to create the time after this 9-to-5 so you can really have the time to live out your dreams. Yeah. So I'll give you an example. I was on a vacation, but I got creative and called it a paycation. Now, who wouldn't want to take a paycation? Like, you get paid to be on vacation. The reason why I said that is, my business was on autopilot, had the email scheduled, had the text messages scheduled. I let my team know, like, hey, I'm going on a vacation. Keep the wheel spinning, right? And so we want to get to the point where we have the time, we create a business and we have the time freedom to take a vacation, but your business is still working. The business is still doing what it's supposed to do. Even like your digital products. If you have ebooks or if you have a drop shipping company, you're creating time freedom because you don't have to necessarily be in the business 24/7, 90 going north because you want to be able to do the things that you do. Right. So when I say time freedom, I'm literally saying sometimes you may have to slow down to speed up, meaning that if you have to say, hey, let me look at my whole system. If I have to hire my very first person, let me consider what I need to do to create that space. If I have to take 5 hours to make a webinar or to make a digital course, now I've bought my time back because now I can put this thing, run ads on it, let it do what it's doing, and you're out somewhere on the yacht. So sometimes we don't slow down to speed up. We want it right now. But one thing I can say that I do often is I look at my back office. I look at the different ways where my team can go in and we take out the manual work and put the automated work in place. So essentially, I'm creating a time freedom from them too. They're not doing so much on this position, which makes them want to stay with Wealth Transfer Enterprise. So I know I said a lot, but that's why I push that, because we can't get our time back. We can buy it back if we don't be afraid to invest and get a coach, whether it's 40,000, 30,000, 50,000, buy your time back. So I'm big on time freedom because that's what we can't get back if we don't use the strategies and implement certain things.
So what's interesting is when I accomplished time freedom, I noticed I was able to then start acquiring more assets to cash flow.
There you go.
But to me, it was like a phenomenon. I was like, this is crazy, because I was trying to do all those things before I left the job. And when I left the job, I was able to do the things I was trying to do to let me get out the job. And I've never heard somebody say that you achieve time freedom and then you achieve financial freedom. But I'm curious, how do you achieve time freedom? You don't have financial freedom.
That's good. So let me, and I'm going to break this down to my best way possible. I always say it like this. There's 3 things that we have in this world, or it's multiple things, but I'm saying there's three things that's important to all of us in this world. Money, if you build a healthy relationship with it and don't let it control you, time, and knowledge. So I feel like if you're working and you're saving, you don't have the time. But if you have the money to invest in the knowledge or the skill set to create more time, then that's what route you need to go. But if you have so much time, if you don't have money, but you have knowledge and a little bit of time, figure out how you can use that knowledge to make more money. So again, you can create more time. If you have a whole bunch of, what was the last one? If you lack knowledge,
right? Money, time.
Yeah. If you lack knowledge, then, and you have a little bit of time, but more money, use that money. I think I said that first, use that money again for the knowledge or the skill set that you need so you can create time freedom. But if you have a lot of time, that time could be used on studying so you can get more money. Right. So you can understand how the wheels can turn for you to have these assets or just some passive income so you can create that time. So hopefully to your audience, I broke that down, but I always like to use that because it's like, there's 3 things that we might say, oh, I have too much of, but then I lack over here. So make it make sense for what you don't have and what you do have so you can create that space of time freedom. So for me, for example, I didn't have a lot of time, but I had a lot of money because I saved this when I was working. So I said, all right, Deadria, you need to buy your time back. You don't have the knowledge right now to understand how to do that, but you have the money. So take this money that you've been working hard for, that's just sitting in the bank, not making more money, take it, invest it in a mastermind or invest it in a coach that can give me the skill set so I can buy my time back. And that's what I've been doing ever since.
Yeah, that was dope. What is something that you believe in your industry that almost nobody agrees with you on?
That is funny. Ooh, that nobody agrees. Is that a thing?
I mean, I think the thing that you just said about achieving time freedom before you achieve financial freedom is pretty novel. I've never heard that before.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I've experienced. I realized I had to stay, I wouldn't even say the word broke. I had to stay complacent with the money that I had saved before I made any more money, because I had to use my time to get the knowledge. I had to go study with my mentor. So I created time freedom before. I guess I can see why people push. I'm starting to hear more people say time freedom though. But that was my experience. I had to put a lot of time into the skill set, the new knowledge to create financial freedom or to create the time freedom. I mean, right away, you don't have financial freedom when you start that business. So what are you doing? You're putting a lot of time in it. So it's like, it's the time freedom. I mean, it's even when I say time freedom, if people want to look at it like I'm free from that job had me, my time constraint to the point where I can do anything else. You still have time freedom now. Now you have to use that time freedom and that looking up and you're saying you're bored. Now you have to use that to really create the financial freedom. So when you quit that job, or when you think about putting your 2 weeks notice, you have a lot of time now. What are you gonna do with it? So essentially you have time freedom in the beginning. You may not have the financial freedom yet, but then you have time freedom throughout and the end.
Yeah. One of the things that one of my mentors told me before I quit my job was, he said, just take off 2 weeks and see what you can do in those 2 weeks with all that time that you were spending commuting, sitting in that office, and then commuting back home. And that was one of the things that allowed me to kind of blow up, is I then was just like in the paint. I was running sales all day. I was sending emails all day. I was actively bringing in customers all day, every day, as opposed to kind of sitting at a desk and then getting to it when I got to it. So I could see that. That makes complete sense. I think that's another reason why people were able to make so much money during the pandemic, is because they got their time back. And for me, like when they allowed us to work from home and I could run my business like unashamedly, I was booming. So what is a challenge in your field that you're struggling with, and how do you plan to tackle it?
Mm-hmm. I feel like today was a struggle. We have so many amazing ideas in business, and we can't do it alone. So one thing that I struggle with, and that can continue to be a struggle if I don't have a strategic process, is hiring. One thing about me, the reason why I say hiring, because one thing about me, I learned every aspect of the business, even if it was on an entry level, to the point where I can have a conversation about it. I can see where I need to grow, and I can see how I need to solve that problem. But so that's why nothing else about it, I was like, no other aspect yet, but the hiring. And the reason why I say hiring, because having a team to make the wheels spin with good oil is key. If you don't have a team, I know I said this already, like about the team, but if you don't have a team, these amazing ideas, you'll get so overwhelmed to the point where you'll fall out of love with, or you won't even get a chance to fall in love with what you thought you loved or what you initially loved. So the reason why I say, again, hiring, because today, as I looked up, looking at a new project that we're implementing in wealth transfer, I literally had to talk to each department to see where no one is stretched thin, yet they can add more value, and looking to see if they're willing to take on this, this new project. And it was like, all right, Deadria, now you got to hire somebody else. Listen, when you hire somebody else, now you're paying more employer. Now you're paying more taxes. So I got stressed. And one thing, say it again.
The taxes are ghetto. I'm so tired of taxes.
So hood, like so ghetto, like so toxic, that's the way. But one thing I had to learn was there's two types of people you need on your team: a visionary and an integrator. Mm-hmm. So if I'm the only visionary, I can't integrate everything at the high level that I want to. Right. I need somebody to be like, all right, I take pride on quality assurance. So I need someone like a business partner, even though they're working in a certain department, like a business, like to say, this need some more oil over here to run good. This need more oil. So if you are both, you might as well forget it. You obviously you implement things to make sure
you're gonna move slow.
You're gonna move slower. You're gonna move slower, So and then you can get burnt out, and you won't get a chance to actually fall in love with what you're doing. So hiring and making sure the team is on one accord can be stressful, because you want everybody to have the tenacity, the energy, the courage, and the mind is you, but it doesn't always work like that, So that part, having a team, making sure they're qualified. Sometimes people say they're qualified, they get into it, it's too much. Another thing I learned is a lot of people are afraid of training their team on what they do, because they're afraid of the person taking the gems and the knowledge and the expertise and leaving. But how about be afraid of keeping somebody on and not training them? Because then look at what will happen to your business, right? So if you don't train because you're afraid of them leaving, be afraid of training them, keeping them on, and they don't know what's really going on, So when you want to have those huddles or those conferences or meetings, nobody have any output because you haven't gave them the training or the confidence to help you run the company.
Yeah. Yep.
So now I get when, Amazon, any company that we may think of have weekly, monthly, quarterly trainings, and even fly these people out depending on how high demand these positions are, because you need the training.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm planning to do this week, is just record a bunch of training videos, because then it's easier. I don't have to ask somebody if they know how to do it. I just got to ask them if they watch the video or not. And so it's like, exactly how I did it, because I outlined it. I recorded it on Zoom or Loom, whatever I decide to use. And then boom, now we got somebody, because I'm bringing on a ton of people, and it would just be easier if they just follow my process instead of going out there trying to figure it out on their own and me just like critiquing their work, which is kind of like how I was trained when I would have jobs. They didn't train me. They brought me in and they're like, all right, we'll figure it out. And then let me criticize you when you do it wrong.
Yeah. And I remember 2 years into my journey, I actually got hired at, and this was me quitting the, being a CNA. I got hired at Marine Credit Union. And the position was, I was basically calling people to make sure they paid their collections off. And so with that being said, I just remember the well-organized and thorough training, to the point where they paid for my hotel, they gave us lunch, they gave us they paid for so much because they knew how intense this 4-week training was going to be, but I shortly after, I realized that this is not for me either. But what I did was I got a lot of information from the underwriters, which is why I'm very knowledgeable about what underwriters look for. I got information about how they deem collections and how they set up the cause, and, their strategy on getting more for the collections than what they bought it for and whatnot. So that was like paid college, so to speak. But the training was intense. Yeah,
because I know that you have some information where you talk to people about how to talk to creditors or to credit collection companies.
Yes.
People some tips.
Yes, absolutely. So here's the thing. Debt collection agencies and creditors, they're third-party companies. They have contracts with the credit bureaus. The credit bureaus have contracts with these collection agencies. And so when, for whatever reason, life happens, we get in a financial bind, we can't pay the original creditor off. What happens is the collection agency or debt collector, they do their job. This is their business. So they call around to see, if there's an account that they can buy so they can sell. Now you see that it was that chain of demand, they're the third party. So therefore, the collection agency no longer have the original note or instrument to your wet signature. So with that being said, there's laws in place, like the civil liability law, putting damages on our credit report that we can push, or that we can say to them on the phone when they call us, or just simply saying, where's the original note? So when debt collection or debt creditors call you, You don't have to give them any of that information. You guys have the information on file, right? So what you tell them is, no, please take my name off your roster. Don't call me anymore because it is a recorded call. And if they harass you, they can get sued. Whatever information you have on file, send it to the address. So when they send that information to the address, you can then go after either whoever put the damages on your credit report, so the collection agency or even the original creditor, and literally say to them, you call them on your time and say to them, if you can't send me the original note to this contract that you really actually just bought, you're buying my information, I didn't give you consent. If you can't provide for me the original instrument or note, when you say those type of terms, they're like, okay, they know their stuff, then take this off the credit report, right? We don't have to prove to them why they already committed fraud. We tell them that we know they did, and now that we know, you either pay us or I'm gonna sue you. So there's a thing called getting a remedy for your damages on your credit report. And that's essentially what it is. It's damages on your credit report that you didn't consent to. So typically when people see the original account, like Sprint, and then they see
some random company,
LV Funding, that's a typical one, or Kaner Weiner, that's a typical one for like electric bills. It's because you got two people selling your information. So you got to, otherwise it's going to keep trickling down. And these people are buying our information, pennies on a dollar. So if your bill, give an example really quick. If your Sprint bill is $1,000, no, I'll say if it's not $1,000, if it's $500, LV Funding to come in and say, well, we'll buy it because Sprint just wants some money at this point. We'll buy it. It's a $500 bill, but LV Funding say, we'll buy it for $100. So now we can sell, so LV Funding can sell it for $1,000 and make a $900 profit. That is their business.
That's kind of dope. I didn't think you could do that. That is interesting.
Yeah, but that's what happens.
You said you have a book that is The Secrets the Banks Don't Want You to Know, or something along those lines. Can you share with us some of those?
So not my published book yet. That's coming out.
Oh.
But no. So I have a ebook. I have a book.
Right.
Yeah. And I thank you for even putting that in my space. But someone explained to me like, hey, when you do have ebooks and you publish them on like Amazon, you are an author at that point. But so the ebooks, they literally break down, again, some of the things that bankers don't tell you. And it goes over the structuring of your credit report, how to build this business credit, and how to become your own bank, essentially funding yourself, understanding these interest rates. So whatever idea that you have, you can say, okay, well, I know that once I structure my personal and business credit, I know that this lender, they're 12% or they're 0% APR for 12 months. I'll go with that lender. So when I say we often hear be your own bank, but there are so many different avenues you can go about that, So
that's very true. It's not just life insurance.
It's not just life insurance. No, it's not. So let me go to Unlock the Secrets. That's what it is. Unlock the Secrets to Business Credit and Funding. And then it's DIY Guide to Top Tier Credit for the personal side. Yep. So it's those two books that really help you tag team both entities and say, wow, I can teach my 15-year-old, I can teach my 16-year-old these things so I can structure them up. If they have this idea so young, get an LLC, make sure both entities are together, and then make sure they can get funding. Yeah.
Before I go into the wrap questions, I have one last question. What is one tool that is indispensable in your business?
That's a good question. A credit monitoring system. That's the most inexpensive thing right now. $21 a month, right? Versus our $5,000 package, one-time fee. So having a credit monitoring system gives you the tool and the resource to take control of your credit. If you don't know what's happening on a 30-day basis, then don't try to go get a home. Like, don't try to get a credit card, or don't try to go get a pre-approval. Right. So for those who are listening, and for anyone that's like, you know what, I just forgot about my credit because it was so horrible, don't take control of it. Get a credit monitoring system and literally monitor all data points, all parts of your credit that banks really won't tell you about. And see, that's why I say data points and not, hey, I have like in a consultation, they're like, oh, I have a 700, I might be ready, but let's see the data points. Let's make sure that you have structured your credit report properly for the eyes of the lenders. So that's the most inexpensive thing. Being able to look at your credit report, take a second to sit down to see how many derogatories, what's your utilization, how many on-time payments, how many old addresses you have, so you can start cleaning, restoring, and structuring your credit.
Yeah. The people in the comments said she knows what she's talking about. It says she seems very smart and driven. Very good guess. And Andre Hatchet said cook.
Oh, you're on YouTube.
Yeah, I told you I was on YouTube.
I know, but I didn't know, like, the comments was on and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions? Like, do they have questions in the comment, or that was?
No comments, no questions yet, but if you guys have any questions, type those in and we'll get those answered for you. And while they're doing that, I have a question, and it is, what is your favorite business or investing book?
Oh, that's good. So my favorite investing in business book is Boss by Myron Golden. Boss. I'm sorry?
I didn't know he had actual books.
Absolutely. Yeah. Business Optimization Success Secrets is what Boss stand for. And the reason why that is, out of many books that I have said, that is one of them, because he literally helps you go from an employee mindset, self-employed, entrepreneur mindset to wealthpreneur. And a wealthpreneur, like he teaches, I tap into him anyways, because it's very important to have certain people, in your ear gate as you are on your journey. But he always said, like, the highest level of wealth is speaking, where you don't have to do any labor, like you're literally speaking. So he really breaks down the principles of having high ticketed products. So you don't have to try to beat the competitor or lower your prices because your competition price is $57. So now you feel like you have to lower yours to $37. Right. So he really breaks down how to package an irresistible offer and put it on a marketplace at a high offer. I love that. Like, I mean, that changed my mind within the first 2 days that I was reading it. I literally started adding more to the packages, more to the prices. And it'll slap you in the face, really, to make you think, like, I've been doing this all this time. Yes, success is slow cooked, but it don't have to be when you have the right understanding of how business can really take you to the next level. So say, for instance, you go from a $2,000 to a $5,000 product, which is where I'm headed. First, it's okay to test the market. It's okay to test the market to see, can I actually put another $3,000 or $1,500 on this price? If you test the market and someone bites, you can either stay there or go up. So I literally did that. Then I'm not kidding. The next day, I went from a $2,000 package to a $3,500. I did that. The next day, she bought. If she bought that fast, I'm definitely going up to $5,000. But obviously, you want to make sure that you have the team equipped and more value to add in this irresistible offer. So they're like, okay, how transformational is it going to be for me in my life, whatever industry that you may be in?
Yeah.
That
was a great book recommendation. I'm getting that as soon as we offer. Did you get that on Kindle?
He's not on Kindle. I got it off his website. Should be
ebook.
It's not an ebook. It's the actual book.
I need the ebook, but I'm gonna get that regular copy too. I'll order that as soon as we get off of this, because I've heard good things about him. I've seen him on podcasts. A lot of people have had a lot of success going through his program, and I didn't even know he was until I started seeing like Nehemiah Davis post him. So I have to check that out. What sets apart successful business owners from those who give up, fail, or never get started?
Say that one more time.
What sets apart successful business owners from those who give up, fail, or never get started?
I said simply like this: failing is never starting at all. But if you start and you fail, you're literally getting closer to success. Because I think it was Tom Ford, Thomas Edison, somebody, they failed like 50 times in their business. But he was like, me failing 5 times was the lesson. And it also helped me get 50 or 5 or 10 steps closer to success. So for those who don't start at all and just don't start, you already failed yourself because you didn't even start to see what those failures would be like to actually give you those lessons you need to get closer to your success. For those who have started already and they feel like they hit a roadblock or they failed at something, pat yourself on the back, because you literally have took the chance of saying, I don't care what this looked like, but I am going to fail, make myself look crazy. But you also build that muscle of becoming stronger and more emotional intelligence. So when failure come again, you know how to combat it.
Yeah.
So if you don't start and you're thinking to start and you never start, you already failed yourself because you never started, but you knew you had the people around you, the idea, even maybe the resources, and you never started because of fear or whatever life did. What
does wealth mean to you?
That's good. You want to think about that sometimes because it's deeper than money. Mm-hmm. Wealth to me means and look like I have, this might sound funny, but I have created a legacy and a space where my money stays pregnant. What I mean when I say that is I've invested in one asset to the point it's generating me passive income, or I've created this business where I don't have to touch anymore and it's still creating money. Everything that I'm investing in stays pregnant, so it creates more babies. So once I move into the space of having my family, I can give this business to my child where it's already doing what it's supposed to do. And so now I'm just creating a legacy. So wealth to me is creating a legacy where it's stay pregnant. Everything, all your assets are pregnant. So you'll never get to a point where you're like, I'm looking up, now I have no money, now I can't do what I want to do. Now I can't leave anything behind. And it's not always about money, but it's about what you leave. Wealth is like what you leave behind. Is it debt? Is it liabilities? Is it asset? What have you left behind? And I think that's for all of us. I always look at it like, do I want to be known as a Martin Luther King, a Rosa Parks, or a Marilyn Monroe? The Rosa Parks and the Martin Luther King, they were inspiration leaders. They were legends, but they didn't go for popularity. They went for impact, right? And then you have the Marilyn Monroe, where she was just popular and known for what she did. So which one do you want to, when you think about building your wealth and building your legacy, which one do you want to be? So when I think about wealth, I think about building a legacy where it's ongoing and everything I do that I can pass down. But I think that's all of us.
So that was cool. Keep your money pregnant.
Keep your assets pregnant, if anything, because once you invest in real estate one time, or once you get a life insurance policy, or once you invest in this business, a lot of people buy businesses too, then make sure it's an asset or a vehicle that always stay pregnant. Yeah. So you can, it can pass down to your kids. I mean, it's just an ongoing pregnancy here.
So before I ask you the last question, well, actually, yeah, what's one gem that you want to leave the people with? What's one thing that we haven't talked about, or even something that you want to reiterate that we already have talked about that you want to leave?
Absolutely. I would say as simple as this. Everybody have their own mantra or quote. I kind of came up with my own because I knew that if I didn't do this thing, I would never be right here. So don't be afraid of change. Be afraid of not changing. I would literally leave the people with, don't be afraid of change. Be afraid of not changing. We are afraid to quit that job. We are afraid to start this venture. We are afraid to, take this excursion or take that trip by yourself. Don't be afraid of that. But be afraid of not changing, because one thing I know, a lot of people are on their own time clock. Oh, I'm 35 years old. I haven't got a child. Or I'm 35 years old. I haven't touched my first million. But if you never change your habits right now, or if you are afraid to do something that could change your life for the rest of your life, then 6 months, a year go by fast. You'll look up and you haven't did anything. So I would be afraid of not changing. Don't be afraid of the change, because everything we do is anything new is going to be scary. Like, for instance, I literally a year ago moved from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I was a little afraid, but I was ready, because I knew I needed change. But I did it, and literally in a year, so many amazing things have happened within my mind, my spirit, my business, my money, my finance, my circle of people. I couldn't be more grateful that I made the change. So a lot of times people are twirling their thumbs, and I would just say, listen, if it's on you, if you can do it, man, go for it. Because otherwise you'll be upset with yourself throughout life, because you didn't make that change.
So I did get one question inside the comments, and it is this. It says, I found out last week there's a judgment against me for a 2018 medical bill. They had the wrong address. I'm fighting this, but is there anything else I need to know?
One thing I'll say, people tend to more so, instead of ask like business questions, they'll ask, this would be the opportunity to ask like credit questions, but that's good. They had a judgment on the credit report.
I guess so.
Okay.
It didn't specify.
Okay. Well, if they had a judgment, typically judgments aren't on, it'll be like a public record. It isn't particularly a judgment, but if it is a judgment, I would say like file a complaint on it. A CFP, that might be a lot, but a CFPB complaint, which is Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. You want to file a complaint on anything that's like inaccurate or anything you're trying to fight, even after you paid it. Bankruptcy, child support, file a complaint. We literally have removed child support and bankruptcy 30 days, 2 months, 60 days. So if it's a judgment attached to an old address, that's the part right there. They sell our information. So any old addresses, before you even dispute anything, call them and let them know, hey, I never lived here before. Get these addresses removed. That's just the I never lived here before, right? You don't have to let them know, because they should have came to you first to ask you if you live there. So any old address attached to the credit report, get those removed first. Any repo, credit card, charge off, judgment, bankruptcy, then you want to dispute. And I would highly suggest filing a complaint.
So great conversation. If people want to reach out to you, if they want to work with you, if they want to follow you, if they want to support what you have going on, where can they find you?
Yeah, so I'm all over everywhere. TikTok, Facebook, IG, Wealth Transfer Enterprise. But I told myself I would hold myself accountable to drop a YouTube video every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So you guys can also find me on Deadria Garrett. That's the YouTube. Instead of just it being Wealth Transfer Enterprise, I wanted to show things for business as well, and all that good stuff. So Deadria Garrett on YouTube, but Wealth Transfer Enterprise everywhere else.
So awesome conversation. I'm going to make sure that I follow you if I wasn't already. I learned a lot, and it was energetic. It was knowledgeable. And those are the best shows. People love these shows. These are the shows that get a lot of views and get a lot of live streams. So people are definitely viewing. Make sure you guys share it. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you leave us a 5-star rating, because we like 5-star ratings, and we need those ratings to move in the ranks. We've been doing this too long. We need to be on them top charts, because we put out consistent content all the time, and we'll continue to drop more. So thank you for coming on. For people who are listening, make sure you click the show notes and participate in the programs that we got going on. Join the mastermind, cop that options course, long distance real estate, all that cool stuff that we're doing. Participate. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you guys today. But I appreciate you for tuning in.